Okay. Are you recording? That means, yeah? Okay. Comms check.
Sound check 2.
Comms check 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, actually, awesome.
All right, guys. My name is Casey Star, representing Esports Africa News. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're good. I hope you're having a swell time, and I hope you're enjoying Evan's live stream. At Esports Africa News, we try to entertain, we try to educate, and try to empower everyone and anyone in the esports and gaming ecosystem. Today, we want to spotlight Ivan Chibuka. Oh my God! Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm not
it's so good. Please come on. I'm sure we would have made that trip.
Yeah.
I've gotten a few names wrong. I'm actually clowned here for getting people's names wrong. So
I know, right?
I'm not the best person when it comes to names. So
anyways, I'm just going to stick with Ivan.
That's okay.
Ivan is the founder and CEO of Arudem.
Founder now.
Founder now.
I don't know if that's... the CEO title comes with a lot.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure that I'm one. But I try not to confuse the two. So right now I'm still a founder. Up until I've qualified to be a CEO, it may be, but yeah, for now I'm just a founder.
Okay. Yeah. Founder of Arudem.
Yep.
Yeah. Is an esport entrepreneur and also a gamer. So let's dive right in. Ivan, please can you introduce yourself to my beloved fans? I know your fans already know who you are, so my people don't know you.
Yeah, for
Let them get to know you, please.
Yeah, so this is actually not our fans, it's our community. Esports News Africa, thank you guys for hosting us. My name is Ivan Chibuka, and I'm the founder of Arudem. Arudem started out as actually, let me first talk about myself. I'm primarily in the gaming space. I've been in the industry for about, what you could say, 8-7 years now. And I initially kicked off as a Call of Duty player. That's why even up to now I'm still playing COD. Back in the days, 2019, that's slightly before COVID. We used to grind COD quite a lot. We used to play a bunch of tournaments here and there. I wasn't really into Call of Duty, but when I found the Call of Duty community, there was just something about it. Yeah, it kind of spoke to me. I related with it quite a lot.
Yeah.
So, dived into the game, started grinding COD quite a lot, played a bunch of events, played a bunch of tournaments. And even up to now, we're still grinding it. But I think that's the only game that I play, by the way. I don't think I'm a diverse gamer. The only game that I actually give my time to is Call of Duty, and that's it. Which is quite unique. Most gamers try here and there and everywhere. But personally, I've not found the desire to even play any campaign games like the usual hard titles like Call of Duty, Last of Us. Yeah, I don't think I've really fallen in love with gaming to that level. But I think for now, primarily my major focus is COD. And from the esports perspective, still, we used to play a series of COD tournaments back in the days, local and international. Right now, I'm not so much on the playing side. I'm now more on the corporate side, the business side of things. And my role is to now lead the team at Arudem. And now maybe I can speak a bit about Arudem. Arudem started out as a gaming community, and then it evolved to a brand that stood for representation of modern day gaming in Africa.
Yeah.
So before that, gaming had a bit of a series of stereotypes around it, and it was our desire to represent it different, to give it a seat at the table. So that's something that we honed in a lot more within, I think, the past 5 years plus. But now we've completely evolved and done our complete 360, and we've gone in hard as a gaming company, and we're doing game development. We're doing gaming and we're doing esports now. We've recently, I think with you, we collaborated on the Swahili Sports Championship here in Uganda, so that's something we're able to co-host and co-produce. We're doing a lot of content now, and media, also the media space. We're working on some of our own IP, so that means we're building our own worlds and our own games. We actually have a game jam with the Ministry of Finance coming up.
Whoa, interesting.
And we're getting deep a bit in the game development space and not just playing it. So we're trying to get deep into creating and building our own games and just having that platform going. And generally, just trying to see what role we can play within the gaming space in Uganda and maybe East Africa. Hopefully, just encompass Africa as a whole. It's an interesting space, and I think there's quite a lot for us to do moving forward.
So how did you come up with the name Arudem?
Now, true story, I don't think I came up with a name. That's the thing, I really don't remember. Like it's things happen that naturally. So I think Arudem was one of those things that were just born to happen. Like it was just the right moment, the right time, the right opportunity presented itself. One of my friends back in the day, part of my squad that we used to play Call of Duty with, made a WhatsApp group, and I think they called it Arudem. So previously, for those that know, the company was called Navi. So it was just my name flipped around. So the first was called Navi for I think the first 1-2 years or 1.5 years. Then it became Navi Arudem at some point. But then our last rebrand, I think about 3-4 years back, we decided to just go with Arudem. It stuck, the community vibed with it made sense. It was already, it rolled off well, it was relatable. So we more or less just, went along with it. So I don't think it's my own creation. That's something I still don't remember. That's a story that I feel like we need to sit down, the first 4 individuals in that group, and actually ask ourselves, so who came up with this name? So it's still a mystery within the company, and maybe one time we'll figure it out. But yeah, it really started as a WhatsApp group, and that's how kind of everything evolved. Wow. This name was just on our WhatsApp group, and now it's on billboards, it's in front of people's screens, so it's kind of good to see where the story has evolved over the years.
Really, really brilliant what you're doing with Arudem, what you've done with yourself, as a gamer. So, but before now, what experiences really pushed you towards gaming? Like, how did you start as a gamer and say, okay, you know what, I want to build a future, I want to build a brand, and I want to build a product around the gaming industry and the esport industry at large?
Wow, good question. Initially, I was in the traditional sports space. Yeah. Okay. So you find that I started out in. I used to have a rugby sports brand in high school. So we used to host like rugby events outside school during holidays and just private games.
Yeah.
So initially, I wanted to go big on rugby. I wanted to have like a whole, just like how we have already in esports. I wanted to have like a brand, like a rugby brand within the rugby industry. But you find that rugby was already structured. It had already positioned itself a bit when it comes to the ecosystem. There was a federation in place already. We already had the rugby union. So some of the ideas I had, like sports entertainment, didn't fit so well with the rugby union. So there's a bit of pushback. So then I realized that, okay, if I want to pull this off, I need to find an industry that's not already governed. Yeah. So that's how we jumped on esports. That's how I jumped on esports. Yeah. So going into esports, I wasn't a gamer. I wasn't much of a gamer. I used to play a bit of games here and there, but then as I evolved high school, got into the cool boy era. So gaming was a bit of a geeky thing. So I stepped aside and then went into like traditional sports, rugby. So when initially I really wanted to go big on the rugby situation, but like I told you, I had some of the pushback from the union. Sure. I did some research, found esports, so transferred all the knowledge I had gained from the rugby sports brand that I built with a friend of mine called The Guru, shifted that to esports. And then from esports, I then was exposed to the global gaming industry, and I realized, okay, you know what? Esports is just a small component of gaming. So fundamentally, the focus should be gaming. So that's how we got into gaming, basically. And initially, first thing first, content. I think for me, content was a major focus. Yeah. We went big on content. We really went big on content. Even before competitive and all that, content was a core focus. And even after I said like a core fundament of the business. And ever since then, it's been mainly the only reason how you got to how you got to know me was mainly through content. So I think content has always been like one thing that we've honed more into. But primarily, that's how we built our brand within, and that's how we built our position within the esports and gaming industry. And it's dope. It's a dope space. I think there's a lot to learn. I was able to learn broadcasting and like streaming, branding, and like there's so much that I've managed to pick up from. Yesterday, I was watching a gentleman who's one of the top individuals within the Ugandan internet space, and his background is basically gaming, and that's how he's more or less built his thing, and just even his technical skill set was inspired through a game. So I think gaming has that thing about it that is massively underrated, and if we hone more into it versus just the entertainment side, there's quite a lot we can do, to be honest. So shout outs to Kyle Spencer. I listened to his podcast yesterday, and he talked a lot, and we're going to actually clip it and post it up, but I think he really gave a good take when it comes to how gaming can expose you as a child, and how it can be one of your first entry points to technology, and just getting into the tech space. So interesting space, to be honest.
Absolutely, I agree with you, because there's a lot you can do in the gaming industry. Sure. You can be a designer, you can be an artist, you can be even as a singer, you could do something with it. It's a lot, tons, not just even in the gaming industry, in esports at large. So what have been some of the challenges you face building Arudem, being a gamer and just being in the space in general?
First of all, this room is hot. That's one of the first challenges. I don't know what the production team did to it, but this room is really hot. I'm in a sweater, but like heat, man, like heat. You can't afford AC. So some of the challenges.
Are you serious right now?
But okay, seriously. Look, a disclaimer will be this, yeah. I believe the challenges are there to help us shape the industry. Yeah. So I really don't point so much into the challenges that we're facing, and I focus more on the solutions because at the end of the day, that's how we get to build the industry. And given that this is the first attempt to some of the efforts we're doing, I don't know how many people were streaming Call of Duty before we started. So you find that since there was no one doing that initially, like by that I mean in Uganda, for example. So you find that some of the challenges we're facing now are guaranteed because at the end of the day, there's no blueprint we're following. Otherwise, if the blueprint was there, you may find that we would have solutions already. So that wouldn't even be a challenge. We wouldn't qualify for a challenge because there's already a solution per se.
Yeah.
So right now, I think some of the challenges with the basic ones, things like internet. I think I was playing here today and earlier on the ping was okay, but now I'm getting about 130, 140. So that affects my gunplay and my gameplay generally. So obviously there's a bit of an internet challenge there, connectivity, access to hardware.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll speak a bit more on the hardware front. When you go into gaming, just to even pull off such a stream, I'm using this is a 4070 graphics card and with a bunch of CPUs, the fans and all that. So that was one of the major challenges when you go into the industry, hardware. But you realize that, again, with our mindset of our solution-oriented mindset, we started building PCs for ourselves in-house. So that's one of the services that we render in-house, but also externally. So we get to sell this hardware to those that also need it.
So you built this yourself?
Yeah, so we built this ourselves. We build most of the pieces you saw in here were built by us. So now we also render that service externally to one of the top media entities, NBS. They get their hardware from us, and that's what they also use for their broadcasting. So you can see how gaming kind of just encompasses all that. Yeah,
there's so much you can do, like even as a business and to monetize.
Exactly.
Imagine no one would have even thought, oh, okay, how about I build an engine that help people?
100%.
An editor could literally use
this machine. Yeah. So again, where there's a challenge, you kind of find a solution, and that's how you maybe create a business model. Or sustainability has been a core fundamental challenge in this industry, and I think the creative industry as a whole. I think the major core challenges that the creative industry has. One is obviously the economic side of things, money, cash flow.
Sure.
Then second, it's talent. I think talent is also a major challenge even for us in-house.
Is it?
It's a big challenge. Big challenge.
I thought we already have talent and skill. I mean, why is that a pain point? I need to know because...
So that's a pain point for me, I would say, because at the end of the day, the bar is high. We want to compete. Yeah, at the end of the day, we want to play within the top 1% of this business, of this industry. Yeah, we want to compete with some of the top brands in the space. And it takes a lot to get there. So you need really good talent. I think fundamentally without a team, you can't, it's not a one-man show.
Of course.
Yeah, so you find that talent is a massive challenge because again, most of these things are nuanced and they're new to the industry, to the market actually.
Yeah.
So you find that by the market, I mean they're new to Uganda.
I'm sorry.
So finding local talent that's already conversant with how the industry flows is still a massive challenge. So you find that I might want to pull something off, but we don't have the local talent. So we have to go through the longer route of having to first train.
Yeah.
I understand. So that becomes a double challenge because maybe one time you may have the talent, but you don't have the money. But here you don't have the money, so you don't have the talent. You don't have the cash flow, you also don't have the talent. Yeah, so now it's more this. I think for me, those are two core issues. But, we're pulling our weight. I think everyone that's part of the team, constantly we're having sessions, we're having meetings. We try to, as much as possible, get our game up there. And just making sure that, at the end of the day, there's value gained from what we're building. I always tell whoever joins the team is that Arudem is not a place where you come and work, but it's more or less a place where you come and build your product, something you want to build for yourself. So if you're a videographer in general, the goal is to scale that videography, and that's kind of just the focus, making sure that, when you come in here, you're exposed to whatever we're doing, because we're really doing some pretty interesting stuff, and we're really exposed to some of the best industries in the world. Gaming is that one industry that requires a lot of skill sets coming together to just pull off something really dope. So that's why I'm big on talent. I mean, in here we have animators, illustrators, social media managers, marketers, video editors, people within the finance space, Kitara. So just generally, man, that's the struggle that we are. I think for me, those are my core two struggles: sustaining this business. That's one. Creating models, but we're trying. To be honest with you, I'm not going to dwell and say that, oh, that's just a challenge and we're sitting back. No, we're aggressively trying to create business models and make sure this thing makes sense. Currently, some of the games we're working on, we've taken game development to a different route, whereby we're developing games for commercial use. So one of the games that we developed, and I hope you get a chance to try it out, we developed a game for Smirnoff, for example. So now Smirnoff can have that at the activations and people can play.
Smirnoff?
Yeah, Smirnoff
like Smirnoff the drink?
Yeah, Smirnoff the drink.
Are
Yeah.
you for real?
So now they had like a fiesta, and the fiesta goers were able, instead of playing like FIFA, Call of Duty, what have you, they're more or less playing a game that's built off the Smirnoff IP. And now Smirnoff pays for that service. So that's one of the other business models. So on top of the hardware that we get to sell to some of the media companies and the various individuals within the country, we also build commercial games. So games for marketing. So we kind of bring brands to games. So instead of just running tournaments, we're like, oh, we're going to build a game first, have your IP, have your branding in, and then from there on after, we're also going to run a tournament on it. So that's kind of how we're more or less balancing it. And yeah, man, I mean, it's pretty interesting, to be honest with you.
It's very interesting. And how are you able to piece this together and, you know, pitch this idea or pitch this game to brands in such a way that they eventually say, okay, here's our money, we need this game, we think it's going to promote our brand and it's going to eventually, you know, become sustainable and also fund us? Because again, most brands don't just come with the mindset that, oh yeah, we're going to give you money and that's it. They also want return on investment. So how do you manage that?
Wow, it's quite a lot to digest in that question. Because there's so many things you need to look at.
Just break down.
Yeah, you want me to break it down?
Yeah, simplify it for us, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to use like a live example. Just 2 days back, we had a visit from one of the top agencies in the country. So they came in here, and so how agencies work here is that how brands locally, how they operate is that they contract agencies to maybe do marketing. So you find that most brands here, their corporate office doesn't have like a hardcore marketing department. They could have like maybe
there's an external agent.
Yeah, there's exactly. So when you're working with, because if you want to work with a Smirnoff game, you work with their agency. Yeah, they go directly to the brand, they'll always send to the agency. Sure. So the agency comes, it's a good thing because now you're hitting several birds with one stone. So you're going to find this agency has contracts or is on retainer with about, let's say, 5 or 10 brands that could benefit from our service.
Yeah.
So now with that exposure, you already know that, okay, this agency is coming in, I'm going to make sure that I give it use cases that can, like they can now relate to their clients. So your question was, how do we convince? First of all, I mean, gaming already has that bit of audience. Most of these individuals, when they come here, they keep saying, oh, my kids are always playing games. So there's kind of that native thing that, oh, gaming is something, you know, and that's kind of how you tap into this next generation of consumers. So there's already that bit of groundwork that the industry has done for itself that now we just start leveraging, and you make sure that you have good use cases. That's one thing you have to make sure that your pitch that's really on point. I also learned recently, like, your numbers have to be super key. Like the data
numbers.
Is the data
always the numbers.
Yeah, because you could have like a really fancy deck, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the statistics,
Yeah.
so a good thing is some of the games you develop, you have a back end, so someone can actually tell who has played, how many people have played, and at what time have they played. So that's another thing that we also use to show that, oh, there's actually a bit of traction here.
Sure.
Then I think also understanding the industry to that and making sure that you're able to speak the language that can be that a marketer can understand. The misconception with most of the people in the industry is that they just want to go out and be like, oh, game is the next big thing. I mean, that's okay, but how are you relaying that to a marketer who's predominantly not part of your industry? So we make sure we understand that part. So we focus a lot on the marketing side. We follow a lot of the marketing trends within the gaming industry. There's quite a lot of resources that I personally consume, and maybe the rest of the team also consumes. And we more or less now have a conversation from that point of view. Not from a gamer's point of view, but from a marketer's point of view. So convincing them, really just making sure, one, you create a really good product. We have really good level designers, and the game development team is really solid. So there's quite a lot to do them on the side of visuals. So you have a game dev team doing its part, making sure the games look good.
Sure.
You have your numbers straight, making sure that whatever games we create, we have statistics, we have a back-end engine showcasing player count, hours played, and all that. Then we also make sure we understand the industry, so that when I'm talking to a marketer, I'm able to relay that type of information they want to hear. and then they can also relay that to their clients. Then lastly, just having a killer feature. So yeah, they need to understand it. Yeah, it's fundamental, because we normally blame, let's say, retail marketers. Oh, you guys don't pay, you're not paying attention to gaming, what have you. But like I said, even on the panel, we have failed to make this thing make sense for brands. Like, we're not coming up with use cases, like actual business cases. We're more or less just telling people that, yo, gaming is the next big thing. But what are we actually doing to back that up? Like, show that in terms of numbers, yeah? So that's something that I think we're really big on. And it's how we're competing. You know, when we come in here, we're here to build a business. We're a for-profit organization. We need to make sure we can keep the lights on. And yeah, it's fundamental that we understand the business of what we're building, and just making sure that as much as I spend 7 hours grinding Call of Duty, I'm also putting in the rest of the hours during the day, studying and learning, and also building that business acumen.
Awesome. Really, really brilliant, and just outstanding. Now, to all young aspiring gamers, aspiring esport athletes, aspiring business owners, entrepreneurs, startups, how would you encourage them, and how would you help them find probably that space? Because a lot of people want to start off something. They love gaming. They probably know how to design, but they don't really know how to structure it and design it and turn it into a business that is profitable. So what will you say? What tips and tricks are you going to give to maybe a startup that want to go into the niche that you're going into?
Yeah. Man, there could be so many, but I think I'll just use one. Because to be honest, building something is hard.
Definitely.
And man, I don't know if to be honest, I know some people say that, oh, if everything was to go back to zero, it's a long journey, man. Like
you shouldn't go back to zero, man.
Man, it's really, to be honest, I know we fantasize and we kind of I know we leverage the saying, well, even though you go back to zero, I could still build this up from the ground, but it's really hard, to be honest. Like, there are days when you kind of ask yourself, oh man, is this getting somewhere? So much doubt, wondering how the future is like. When you look at the economy and looking at the fact that we're a third world country, and most of the businesses that work here are primarily around solutions, things like water, things like electricity, basic needs actually. Most successful businesses are built around basic needs. So that's to say things like transport, things like water, health,
electricity.
Electricity. That's where the money is, to be honest. So you find that now you're kind of tapping into the creative industry, trying to build a business around them. It's kind of a luxury, because man, the greater part of the country is going through a lot, and obviously there are people that are solving for that, so they end up having the bigger chunk of the pie when it comes to revenue and cash flow. But what I can say to aspiring individuals jump into the industry, persistence. And I think before this interview, when I called Atsu, when I was getting a haircut today, I just thought about how persistent Atsu has been.
Yes.
Like it's mind-blowing, And I don't know if you've seen his journey, but when I see how he's able to even get you here all the way from Ghana, right? Nigeria. Atsu is everywhere, man. Like, he's currently in the US, right?
No, he's in the UK.
He's in the UK. Oh yeah, he's in the UK. So seeing that Atsu has been persistent, I told myself there's no way he's like his business and esports use Africa, when this thing blows up and like we actually have a sustained industry, there's no way you would pick someone else to cover. There's nowhere else you'd pick a writer within the esports industry. Like because I'm sure like when things blow up, it's simple just jumping in from all over, bro. The bubble is in and everyone's like, yo, I need to jump in. This is like, but persistence is fundamentally important. And I think for me, when I look at what we also built and what other people in the industry have built, people have been here since day one, they've been really persistent, because this is something that's being built. So things are changing along the way. And I think the entire world is more or less in the same space. Obviously, with AI coming up, you can build something now and then 2 months ahead, it's irrelevant because maybe there's exactly. So I find that I'm not just going to do that for gaming, but I think generally right now within the tech space, we're building a tech product, regardless of what it is. There's so many shifts. Things are really volatile, So you find that you have to be aggressively persistent. And that's one thing that I've learned from building Arudem is that we've always iterated. What we were 7 years back, 8 years back is different from where we are right now. You know? So it has always been a constant change of business models and like switching this, switching up here, switching up there. So that level of persistence I think is important. Like you have to be crazy persistent because at times when you're like, yo, is this stuff actually going to work, you know? So yeah, I think for me, when it comes to advice, that's the most I can give. I can't even give so much because I'm also just still in a building journey. So I mean, what do I know? I need to first actually build a successful product.
I mean, you're trying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying. So if I'm to give advice, I best have tried and like done something.
Sure.
Yeah. So for now, I'm just looking at it as okay. We're also along the journey, so I don't give like a lot of. And everyone has like their own story. Everyone has like their own experience. So what may work for me may not work for someone else. But I think the core aspect that cuts across regardless of your situation is just being persistent and like showing up every day, like making sure that you're consistently doing the thing, and just somehow things do pay off, Yeah, things do actually pay off.
Most definitely. Thank you so much, Ivan. It's been a swell time with you, just learning, and just picking your brain to because all of us are creators, all of us are builders, and we hope that all the time and energy we're investing into building something.
Pays off.
Yeah.
It's real, man.
Yes, let's fly some jets and drink some, champagne in the jets. You guys, this is Esport Africa News. I'm signing out from Ivan's life, but this is not the end. If you've not subscribed to Esport Africa News, subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to our Facebook, our Instagram. We are everywhere. And if you are new into the esports and gaming industry, it's absolutely open for everyone to tap in.
What's your calendar like? I'm sorry, what's your calendar like?
What's my what?
Your calendar like? Esports News. Where are you guys going next? After? Because we've been to Uganda for the Swahili Sports Championship. Yeah. What's next?
Next is Evo, baby. Evo, baby. We're going to Evo. Yeah, we have to go to Evo.
Nice.
We must go to Evo this year. We must go to it was Saudi Arabia.
Oh yeah, there's
EWC.
Oh, EWC.
Yeah.
It's now nation based, right?
Mm-hmm. There's ENC.
Yeah.
Sport Nations Cup.
EWC.
Yeah.
Oh, so just didn't go to them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's
no, it's not the same.
Like after a few months.
Yeah, exactly. Like September.
EWC, I think it's at the end of the year. More
Yes.
Big stuff, man.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Hopefully, we'll make it to Saudi this year. Hopefully.
Please, let's meet there.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see if we can make it happen.
Big things, bro. Big things. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Ivan.
All right. Pleasure. Thank you for coming through.